A supersonic rocket car sits on a prehistoric salt desert as man continues his age-old quest for speed. Throughout time, this obsession has found its most concrete expression in athletic endeavor.
There's nothing better in the world than feeling a situation where you're in full flight and you get to that point and you just start to fly, and this adrenaline starts to pump and you start to get a very, very true feeling of flying.
I almost feel in my high-speed cars and that as if the wheels where they meet the ground are almost like my hands reaching out and feeling the earth as I go across it to actually feel and be part of that machine.
Those who continue the race are drawn by a deep-rooted need to transcend accepted limits of time and space in all sports. Speed was first measured by the ancient Greeks, who timed their marathon with a sundial. Today, laser beams chart the ever-quickening pace of the human race.
And 400 meters.
By hundredths of a second, we can track the steady advance of the human body toward maximum velocity. Each fraction faster poses new questions. Can speed be learned, or is it a genetic gift? Why do some athletes develop the fast twitch muscle fiber of speed, while others are born with slow twitch fiber for endurance? One truth is clear. To the modern athlete, speed is more important than ever.
Well, I think the most important aspect of athletics is speed. And the reason why is the guys are getting bigger today than they were years ago, and they're not just getting bigger and stronger, but they're getting faster. And so speed has become a very big issue now. People look for guys who can run, the guys who have a lot of size, because the game has speeded up so much. You know, people say, Herschel, you shouldn't be that fast. You know, you're a little bit too big to be able to run. Being as big as I am, you know, having all the muscles that I have, I gotta work on technique, I gotta work on form.
Fast with your arms, just like you're running. Faster arm.
The technique and form of the Dallas Cowboys is fine-tuned by fitness coach Bob Ward.
Go fast, 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 fast. I would like to think I'm all things to all players, because I believe that playing is holistic, conditioning is holistic. You see here at the Cowboy facility the best technology available in the world. We have an incline-decline course. We have sprint masters that pull us faster. We have diagnostic power trainers that sprint load us. We have not even tapped the surface. This is just the beginning. If it were Orville and Wilbur Wright taking off, we would be shaky taking off. But we're still way ahead of the pack.
Bob Ward's Kitty Hawk is the Dallas practice field, where he fires up a novel flying machine called the Sprint Master. This device exerts just enough force to pull a player 10 to 15% faster than his body knows how to run.
The basic theory behind the machine is to enable you to feel and actually reciprocate or move your legs at a faster rate than you normally do when you run. So we're really training the brain. That's it, drives. Up tall, run, out front, there you go. Then we have to turn on the neuromuscular switching, the nervous system, to get it to run faster. And what I call the window of translatability. You can train your nervous system over speed, go faster than you're capable neurologically. It's amazing. Rather than waiting for the ground, we are trying to take more strides per second. and we can run faster.
Professor Ward's prodigy is Bill Bates, a former free agent who owes his pro career to overspeed training.
Without him, you know, I would have definitely not have gotten to where I have and played 4 years in the NFL. Bob has helped me through these years to say, hey, you've got to get faster. So let's do drills to help you get faster, to give you confidence so you can go out on that grass field, cover any man, man-to-man, as tight as anybody can, give you confidence to do that.
By increasing his speed nearly 0.3 of a second in 40 yards, Bates has gone from a marginal free agent to a starter in the Cowboy secondary. The Bill Bates success story convinced Bob Ward that this dramatic increase can be duplicated in others. So he started the National Association of Speed and Explosion to develop his theory even further.
And get that rhythm and ingrain it and train it in our minds, and then gradually to be able to tune it up, tune it up, tune it up, tune it up, tune it up. Now we ingrain this rhythm, this pattern. A real good example would be the Jamaicans and their abilities to run fast. We see replete in their culture music and rhythm.
On the island of Jamaica, speed is a birthright. From the bamboo forests of St. Elizabeth to the beach at Ocho Rios, along the gentle foothills of the Blue Mountains to the mean streets of Kingston, young Jamaicans are on the run. Speed is their heritage, as evidenced by a long line of record-holding sprinters, including the 1987 world champion Jamaican-born Ben Johnson and 1952 Olympic gold medalist Herb McKinley.
I grew up in Jamaica, where a lot of our running was done on the streets, kidding around. And when I got to high school, the track coach saw me running. And of course, I was running against a lot of fat kids, and of course, I must have looked very good. And he came to me and asked me to come out for training. And I asked him, training for what, sir? And he said, to run. So I said, I can run already, sir. I don't have to train.
Champion sprinters have taken their place as national heroes alongside the Jamaican idol reggae singer Bob Marley. Reach out and touch your brother's eye. Marley's songs of redemption and revolution speak clearly to the people of an island with less land than Connecticut, fewer people than Mississippi, and a per capita income of under $1,500 a year. For many young Jamaicans, the only way out is provided by men like Glenn Mills.
All right, we're going to start with the boys first, okay? So those who are over 10, come this way. Get to your marks.
As coach of the national track team, Mills has started many young sprinters along a well-traveled Jamaican track.
Certainly, the heritage has played a tremendous part in motivating these youngsters towards greatness. We just naturally produce these champions on a regular basis. It's just a way of life. It's not anything that we figure is phenomenal to us. So the youngster is introduced at a very tender age. From 8 years old, they have competition going. If he has a talent, he's early discovered in primary schools.
The fastest keep right on running through high school, toward college in the United States.
University of Texas at El Paso, Texas University, Nebraska, Tennessee. A lot of their great athletes came from the country of Jamaica. And if I was going to look for the talent, I had to go where it was at. In the trips that I've been there, and you see the different age groups training from a 6th grader up with a coach there working and developing. They want to be the Herb McKinley, Bert Cameron, Donald Quarry, and those are their heroes. And I think being a sprinter in Jamaica would be like being the quarterback for the Cowboys or the pitcher for the Yankees or the guard for the Celtics. It's the thing.
Despite humble beginnings, the long strides of Jamaican youth make all things seem possible.
But I hope to get a scholarship to one of the universities.
Because I plan to be a champion one year, and I know I will be a champion one year.
Raymond Stewart. Raymond Stewart is my favorite Jamaican runner. Runs very neat.
20-year-old Raymond Stewart and countryman Andrew Smith are living the Jamaican dream as track stars for Texas Christian University.
We just need to get the stick around. Right? If I get the stick behind like 2 meter or 3 meter, I know I'm going to catch those guys, you know what I mean?
There's not any humidity tonight to keep you warm, so y'all keep your stuff on as long as you can.
With the help of TCU coach Bubba Thornton and the support of Herb McKendley and Glenn Mills up from Jamaica, Stewart and Smith will run on the TCU 4x100 relay team, which will try to win an NCAA championship.
On your marks, set.
Get a good start. Get a good start.
The 1987 NCAA 4x100-meter men's relay champions, Texas Christian University.
Young Jamaicans keep on winning championships, just like young Freddie Spencer, who's been taking home the first prize since kindergarten. But instead of running for the gold, Spencer pulls on his leathers and rides to glory on the back of a 500cc motorcycle. On the international stage of Grand Prix road racing, Freddie Spencer mastered the 190-mile-an-hour straights and 130-mile-an-hour turns so well that he had won 3 world championships before his 24th birthday. By this time, he was a veteran of nearly 20 years because his parents had put him on a racing bike at a fairly early age.
He was between 5 and 6. Only one that I ever known that would go out and race on Sundays and come back and get on his tricycle, ride around the yard. That's true.
Freddie Spencer was raised to ride in Shreveport, Louisiana, where he learned his way around every outlaw oval within 1,000 miles.
I can remember when he run there at Boot Hill doing dirt tracking, and he would get off one bike and they'd have another one sitting on the starting line for him. And that day, he competed in 10 events, and he won all 10 of them. And I knew then that he was something special.
This special kid grew up on the dirt tracks of the South and was national champion before he was old enough to drive. By the age of 18, he was off to Europe to find a bigger challenge. The asphalt surfaces and higher speeds of the Grand Prix circuit did not slow Freddie Spencer's race to the top. By the age of 23, he won world titles in 2 different cycle classes in the same year, all with a graceful and unique style that could be traced to his youth.
It started when I was younger because I was riding machines that were a lot bigger than I was. You know, when I was 12 years old, to maneuver the machines around, I had to use all of my body, all of my strength, everything. But now I use it to make the movements more fluid and easier. A lot of riders, they muscle the machines from one side to the other. I think if you can use your whole body, then you're actually using less energy and you have more over the duration of the race.
The track brat from Shreveport is now a millionaire businessman and international superstar with a distinctive approach to his sport.
A lot of people in racing love the speed. They love to know that they're going faster than anybody else. But for me, the speed is a byproduct of the finesse. Anymore, as fast as the machines have gotten and as much power as they have, to put in a really good lap, you almost have to almost scare yourself. It's almost like they're getting beyond the human capacity to react.
The downside to speed comes when it careens out of control.
On Saron, down. Christian Soto is Freddie Spencer.
Speed can be frightening, as well as fascinating. Perhaps that's why decades of baseball watchers have wondered who was the fastest pitcher of all time. Some say it was an Iowa farm boy named Bob Feller, whose best pitch was clocked at close to 100 miles an hour. Sandy Koufax's fastball dominated the 60s, and the modern game has Houston Astro fireballer Nolan Ryan, who has been clocked at speeds in the low hundreds. But according to some, the fastest pitcher of all time never even played Major League Baseball. He spent 9 years from 1957 through 1965 bouncing around the Bush Leagues, mostly as part of the Baltimore organization. His name is Stephen Dalkowski.
I don't believe anyone given pitch is unhittable, but Steve Dalkowski's fastball came as close to being unhittable as any I've seen. I managed him in a Class C league, the Northern League, I was managing Aberdeen, South Dakota. In that ball game, Steve pitched a no-hit, no-run game, struck out 21 people, and walked 19. That means only 8 fair balls were hit off of him the whole ball game.
Control was Dalkowski's career-long dilemma. On any given pitch, the stocky little left-hander was as likely to hit the backstop as he was to hit the strike zone.
In fact, a lot of times they would go into towns, you know, and say, the wild man's here. Get the kids and get out of stands. I swear, I'm getting my kids and get the hell out of here. One lady wrote in the paper.
There was that fateful night in Pensacola, Florida, when Steve forgot his bifocals.
And I could have swore he called for a fastball. And to this day, old Frank Zupo said, Steve, don't you know 1 from 2? Took that guy's mask and him flying way back there. Boy, that guy was splattered right out. He had a concussion. I went to the hospital, and, you know, I didn't bring him flowers or nothing.
Despite his wildness, in 1963, the Orioles declared him ready for the majors.
Steve Dalkowski had a stretch in Elmira, New York. I believe the year was 1962, in which he pitched some 50, I think it was 52 innings, struck out something like 104 batters, only walked 11, and gave up 1 earned run. It looked like he was on his way to the big leagues for sure. They did take him to the Major League camp the following year, and that's when he hurt his arm.
The only thing I really feel bad about not making it is that all them years and all that time trying to get a thing together, and when you think you got it together, and pop, right in the elbow.
He returned to the minors, and by 1965, Steve Dalkowski was out of baseball. Yet to this day, he's haunted by ghosts of bean batters and furious fans, by cruel recollections of frustration, by images of a fastball out of control. His sole consolation comes in knowing that his 110-mile-an-hour pitch was the fastest the game has ever seen.
I was in baseball for 37 years, minor league, major league. No one threw the ball any harder than Steve Dalkowski did.
Guys like Al Kaline and Ted Williams said he never saw the ball. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. That was a gift.
A God-given gift that a mere mortal named Steve Dalkowski never learned to control. Downhill ski champion Bill Johnson has also suffered from speed out of control. Only Johnson's experience was much more painful.
I knew that someday this might happen, but I never considered it a setback. You really never think of the danger in ski racing. I'm at the start, and I don't think of the danger. I think of how I'm going to get down the mountain the fastest. So danger really never enters my mind. Sooner or later, everybody gets injured in skiing. It's just part of the game, you know. It's almost 100% injury rate for athletes.
The pursuit of speed turned an Olympic gold medalist into a convalescent. Yet the habit remained strong.
After winning the Olympics, I got into car racing down at the Long Beach Grand Prix, and that was a gas. I really loved that. I love going fast. In fact, coming down here on I-5 yesterday, I was going 130 in my Porsche, so I'd have been going 145, except for the tires were getting kind of low.
For race car driver Rick Mears, 145 miles an hour is coasting speed.
It's something that takes a lot of self-discipline and a lot of concentration. You know, for 500 miles, we don't get any timeouts, we don't get any half times, you know, nothing like that. You've got to concentrate from start to finish. You've got to know your limits. You've got to know your limits, you've got to know the car's limits, and you've got to stay within them. Because if you don't, that's when you get in big trouble. And in this business, it can hurt.
In the spring of 1984, drag racing star Shirley Muldowney fell victim to a racer's worst nightmare, high-speed parts failure.
Hay in the right lane, off to a good start. Muldowney in the left lane, closing fast in. Shirley Muldowney's off the track.
What happened was the tube came out from underneath the tire and wedged itself here in the steering, which turned the car off the track to the left. As it exited the track, it went into the ditch, impacting in the front and tearing off the car back in this area. Now, it's supposed to do that, but it's supposed to keep her feet protected, but it didn't. It broke back a little farther, which left her legs exposed. The engine separated itself from the car and traveled down probably another 1,000 feet beyond where Shirley landed, and the rear end and the rear tires went their separate ways also.
A punctured inner tube turned Shirley Muldowney's dragster into a collection of spare parts. She emerged from her cockpit with a permanent limp.
The only thing that I was afraid of is the fact that I would not be physically able to come back and do a good job in the car. I didn't want to just make a showing. I've never wanted to think of myself as a lady race car driver out there to be noticed. I wanted to be a lady race car driver that won races. You really don't have time to be afraid because there are a lot of good drag racers out there that can blow your doors off, and only the strong survive.
Shirley Muldowney is one of the strongest. She was the first man or woman to win 3 Top Fuel drag racing world championships. She was the subject of a feature film, Heart Like a Wheel. And 18 months of painful rehabilitation did nothing to dampen her competitive fires or diminish her love of racing.
I wanted to pursue another world championship, and I also needed a light at the end of the tunnel, something to give me, something I could shoot for. I had a lot of physical therapy, and I can't think of anything more boring than exercise and therapy. And I think they wrote me off because I was hurt so badly. And they tend to forget real easy in this sport. They have poor memories. They don't care what happened yesterday, and actually, that's not so bad because it is history. It's over with.
Shirley Muldowney is back in control, pushing her Top Fuel dragster toward record speeds of 280 miles an hour.
Drag racing is my first love. Driving the race car is what I do best. I like to look at what's down the road. I like to look down the drag strip. I don't like to look in the rearview mirror.
Final program, scorebook, media guide.
Speed is a strategic element in all sports, but nowhere is it practiced more frequently or fervently than in St. Louis, where it is the dominant component of Cardinal strategy.
Ozzie, 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 Ozzie.
The chant in Busch Stadium cries out not for home runs, but stolen bases.
Steal a base, Ozzie!
Speed's the best thing you do, and the people come out here to watch the Cardinals run, or we're on the road and they want to see the Cardinals run, I think we should run. And it opens up a lot of things for you when you get a guy on first base that can steal. The opposing pitcher, it's very important to him that he gets ahead of the hitter, because once he goes 1-0, 2-1, 3-1, he creates a running count, and we can go ahead and do our thing. What is the most important asset of the base stealer? It's got to be quickness. It's got to be the first two steps. The first two steps are the most important. It's not so much the running speed as the first two steps and the quickness.
On a relay team of base stealers, the anchor man is Vince Coleman.
Vince Coleman loves to steal a base more than anybody I've ever seen. I've never seen a guy that lives for the stolen base like Vince Coleman does. You know, if we get 10 singles, we're going to run. And if we get 10 singles, we're going to give the people a pretty good time to watch us, because it's going to be exciting, because we're going to have a lot of attempts to steal bases and have a lot of movement on the baseball field.
The Cardinals steal, sacrifice, and hit and run, a sprint medley of speed designed to run them out of trouble and into victory. While the spacious dimensions of a baseball stadium demand a strategy of speed, the narrow confines of a boxing ring dictate quickness to light heavyweight champion Bobby Chez.
So I believe that you can develop a certain amount of quickness, but you have to be quick. You have to be born quick. He who's there first is there best, because his punch will have the maximum results. If you're there first, you can get out of there first and come back again. You know, it has its place everywhere, but in boxing, it's extremely important.
Misses by an inch in the gym become a mile in the ring.
With a big shot, you can slip the whole thing. You can just slip around him, you can slip under him, over him, because he's committed himself on a big shot, and that's when you have a guy. And that's when the counterpuncher is at its most dangerous for his opponent.
Chez's strategy relies on quick reflexes to tire out an opponent, then hand speed to knock him out.
The faster your punch, the more effect it has. It doubles and triples a person coming in, doubles and triples the effect of the punch.
The strategic use of speed yields brutal perfection, a harsh peeling away layer by layer of the adversary. If boxing showcases the strategy of one man, basketball is an intricate mix of five. Here, the fast break is the strategic weapon. On playgrounds, the fast break is undisciplined, discordant. In the NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers have transformed it into sweet harmonies filled with glittering solos. Beneath a glitzy veneer, the Lakers' undercoating is hard work and discipline. Principles that made their head coach, Pat Riley, more a plugger than performer in his playing days.
I can still shoot it. See, my strengths were shooting the basketball and knocking people down. Speed and quickness, leave it to somebody else. Fast break basketball is not what people would think as get the ball out, get a layup, get a dunk or something, 3-on-1, 2-on-1. Fast break basketball is exactly what it sounds like, is you're going to fast break the ball to the front court. Off a missed shot, the block shot, a steal, a great defensive play. The most important part of our fast break is when the ball goes through the basket. What we call a point of explosion is critical to us getting out and down the floor. I think fast break basketball can be the most debilitating offense against the defense. It's how you finish the break now. I think players are so strong and creative that fast break basketball in the NBA is, give it to James Worthy on the wing. And what they're going to do at the end of the break is going to paralyze a lot of teams. If you can get 3 or 4 quick layups and a couple of them outstanding dunks, where you're taking the ball not just at the defense, but to them and over the top, and then making the emphatic statement, it does have a psychological impact on the team.
At the core of Lakers' strategy is Magic Johnson, the player who makes the fast break faster.
He has a tremendous instinct to attack. He ain't gonna wait for anybody. And that is something you don't teach players. He's not only somebody who's instinctive, but he's so talented and unorthodox at 6'9" as a point guard. He never mishandles the basketball, never. And if he does mishandle it, where most players would mishandle it to a turnover or kick it out of bounds, he gets it right back. The ball is on his hand like it's a yo-yo. He is uncanny. He's so powerful that on his drives to the basket, when he decides on the break, I'm going to either pass it or drive it, that his move to the basket is so powerful that guards bounce off of him, and he carries people to the rim. What he does is that he realizes that, yes, I have to get it down there quick, but I can't get it down there before my players are there.
The Lakers speed shifted past underpowered opponents, leaving them littered like wrecks along a Los Angeles freeway. The fast break ran teams ragged and ran Los Angeles to pro basketball's highest honor, an NBA championship. In sports, speed is the ultimate weapon. It must be challenged and conquered by those who face it. Pro football cornerbacks confront the terror of speed every week, standing isolated and vulnerable on pro football's last line of defense. They are challenged face to face by the NFL's fastest men. For 11 years, LA Raider All-Pro cornerback Mike Haynes, number 22, has met the challenge by matching the league's most elusive wide receivers, stride for stride.
You're covering some of the fastest guys in America, really. One single mistake, and it's a touchdown. You know, the difference between a a super fast guy and a guy with average speed is, you know, that much difference. If a guy has great speed, he can get up the field and he can be, you know, basically helpful to the offense. So if I can slow the guy down like 1/10 of a second, I'm really doing a great job. If I can slow him up 3/10 of a second or a half a second, it's just unbelievable what I'm doing to destroy the timing of that route. I think the guys that are more frightening are the guys who are extremely quick, who can make a break and come out of the break so fast that he can cause a lot of separation. You know, we go against guys every single week that are fast, but the ones that are extremely quick are the ones that you really have to worry about. You basically feel like you're just as fast as this guy is, and you're just as quick as he is. But a perfect pass, one step the wrong way, and it's a big play. So you basically, as a defensive back, you have to have great recovery speed. And if you don't have great recovery speed, it's going to be a tough career. It's going to be a tough day that afternoon. Covering guys 5'9" with great quickness, it's really the ultimate challenge. So I have to look for things and try and do things to keep him from getting in position to use his quickness.
Throughout the history of pro football, cornerbacks like former Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer Herb Adderley, number 26, have challenged speed by using quickness, anticipation, and another effective weapon, intimidation.
Whenever I got a chance to hit somebody, well, I put a clean shot on them, and that's part of the game. And, you know, whenever you get a chance to hit them, just let them know you're going to be out there and they're going to let it hit. So that kind of slows them up a little bit because they start thinking about what's going to happen if they catch it and lose their concentration a little bit.
It definitely takes a different type of guy to be a defensive back. If a guy hits a defensive back hard, defensive back wants to fight. If a guy hits a wide receiver hard, a wide receiver just says, wow, that hurt, you know, you hurt me. But defensive back wants to get back at the guy. It tends to be a little bit more cocky. There are some cocky wide receivers, and those kind of guys are the guys that really make it tough and really make it the ultimate challenge for a defensive back.
In the sport of tennis, challenging speed means overcoming the one clear advantage given each player in every match, the serve. Nowhere in the game is speed used more clearly as a weapon than it is at the beginning of each point on the serve. In order to win, you must find a way to overcome and neutralize the server's advantage. In becoming the world's #1 player, Ivan Lendl has met that challenge by attacking speed with a confident return of service.
There are some unreachable serves, but they're not unreachable because they're out of your reach. They are unreachable because you guessed wrong. That's why you can see a serve which hits the line, corners, sliding out of the court perfectly, and a player may return it for a winner. 2 points later, same spot, and the player is 2, 3 feet, 4 feet away from the ball. That's because he guessed wrong. What I try to do is I keep an eye on the ball from the moment it leaves his hand. When he tosses it, I just zero in on it and don't let it slip away, because once you slip it away, then before you pick it up, it's over the net and it's too late.
Challenging the speed of the game's hardest servers demands aggressive action and sound strategy, knowing when to go for the outright winner and when to counter that speed by using the whole court to exploit an opponent's weaknesses.
Some players have a lot of power, but they're a little bit slower coming in, and they're not so good below the net for the volley or half volley. So what I try to do then is make sure I get it low, chip it, let it just drop below the net, let him hit it up to me, and then try to pass him on the second shot. If somebody serves well, you can lose, even if you play well. If somebody doesn't serve big, and there are a lot of rallies, I'm confident that I'm going to beat him unless I miss a lot and beat myself.
By facing the challenge of speed, attacking it, and then using it himself, Ivan Lendl has reached the top of professional tennis. Perhaps nowhere is the challenge of speed more intimidating than in ice hockey. A hockey goaltender must face the task of protecting a 4-by-6-foot cage from opponents firing a hard rubber disc over 100 miles an hour on the fastest playing surface in sports. For many years, The terror of this challenge was faced by unmasked goalies who played with minimal protection. Even though face masks and improved equipment have reduced the risk of serious injury, it remains a hazardous position.
Well, it doesn't affect me. I'm not scared of the puck. You know, I mean, it hurts sometimes, let's face it, but it is part of the game, and the fact of getting hurt doesn't bother me. The fact of letting in a bad goal, that's what upsets me, and I guess that's probably what scares me the most.
In his rookie season, Philadelphia Flyers goaltender Ron Hextall, number 27, won more games than any goalie in the National Hockey League and was awarded hockey's highest goaltending honor, the Vezina Trophy.
For a goaltender, I would say 80% of the game is mental. If you're mentally strong and you have the talent, I think you're going to be a good goalie. Therefore, mentally, you've got to be prepared for a game. If I get myself mentally prepared, I'm ready for every aspect of the game, including speed.
In hockey, the most fearsome weapon is the slap shot.
The basic thing for a goaltender is, you know, you've got to challenge the shooter because the puck is coming so fast. Sometimes you just can't react to it. You know, there's a lot of guys, particularly in this league, that can really shoot the puck, and so, you know, you've got to come out and challenge the shooter and give him as little to shoot at as possible because it's tough sometimes to react to the speed of the puck. One-on-one, if it's a guy coming down on you fast, I will challenge, and if, you know, if he beats me, well, he beats me. It's an anxious moment, but you know, you try and make the guy make the move first.
Ronnie is so perfectly proportioned to how you would write a description of what you'd want from a goalie. He's 6 foot like 2.5. He's slim, his footwork around the crease, his lateral movement, his quickness, his explosiveness. Everything he does with gusto, whether it's banging the goalposts or whether it's kicking a pad out. And I think that's where his quickness and power comes from, and the fact that he's so wound up, and when he uncoils, you know, he's like a cobra striking out.
My temperament is different than a lot of guys. I am fairly aggressive out on the ice. Sometimes, you know, I'll do something like hit somebody with my stick or something, and, you know, it is, you know, taking some of my frustration out. People don't realize that, you know, goalies have frustrations too, and they got to get them out. And I think a team can get frustrated. Therefore, you know, it will cut down on their speed, it will cut down on their drive, and, you know, they think they just can't break the goalie, and I think that's the most intimidating thing a goalie can do. You know, if a goalie's quick, I mean, it's going to help his game and it's going to frustrate the other team. You've got to anticipate the game is too quick to, you know, to move on every play, you know, as it happens. So I think anticipation is the difference between a great goalie and a good goalie.
Ron Hextall met the challenge of speed and was voted the most valuable player of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Speed is also a mental process. One activity that requires the utmost in precise thought is thoroughbred racing. Here, small men must think for the large horses they ride in an atmosphere where the dangers of speed are always present.
I'm almost positive that in my sport, you have to think and make a decision quicker than any other sport.
The jockey's thought process begins in the paddock. Angel Cordero might ride as many as 7 or 8 horses a day. This means he must file away a litany of different trainer instructions, advice that can hinder his concentration.
Let's do the same thing, just stay in contention. Get him started, at least stay close.
You know this old guy,
yeah, I gotta win a race.
He likes to gallop along the first part of it, and hopefully when you fall on him, you go.
So you don't have to be on the lead.
All right.
You can race.
Ponlo a correr, no tenga miedo, ponlo a correr, okay?
A lot of time I go to the paddock and the trainer will talk to me a long time about the horse. This horse doesn't like to get hit, this horse doesn't like this, doesn't like that. Now when you get into the gate, and you say, I don't remember if he told me not to hit him or to hit him, you know? And sometimes when you get a little confused, when you don't remember. When the gate open, You're black, your mind. You have no pain, you have no fear, you have no friends, you have no family. And there you are when they get open, I guess all jockeys get possessed. All you're thinking is, I gotta get there first. You always keep in mind which one of these horses you're running against is the horse to beat. Now you said the horse to beat is Mr. X. Well, Mr. X is gonna be behind me. So possibilities are that 8 out of 10 he's gonna come around me because he's in behind me. So now you gotta know the guys in front of you, what they gonna do. When you run into problems like that, my experience, what I do is I try to follow the horse that is running the best at the time. It's like being driving in the street, just follow the lane that is empty. Whichever lane you move to that lane, if you could. Most of the trainers, they want the horses to come around. They don't want to take a chance to come through on the rail. Well, you come around and horse is on the lead, and you know for sure that that guy's going to go out as soon as he see you. And as soon as you move to him, he goes out, and he already cost you the race. So you have to anticipate what they're going to do, and you have to be right. When you make the wrong decision, everybody hates you. The trainer is mad, the owner is mad, the public is mad, and you're mad at yourself.
Angel Cordero has been remarkably successful by combining the unique skill of mind-to-muscle coordination while handling an animal moving at 40 miles per hour. He has become one of only 4 jockeys in North America to visit the winner's circle 6,000 times. A jockey must think for himself and his horse. A professional quarterback, however, faces the challenging task of having to think for his whole offense.
Red ball! Red ball! 11, attack, 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 set alert! Set alert, set alert, set alert!
In the NFL, no quarterback thinks faster on his feet than Dan Marino of the Miami Dolphins.
Well, Dan has this tremendous mental quickness. He has the ability to see a situation and then to react, to make a decision. And once he makes a decision, it doesn't take long for the ball to get from his arm to where he wants it to go.
Like the jockey coming out of the starting gate, Dan Marino can only think rapidly if the channels of his mind remain uncluttered.
Quarterbacks and athletes in general will freeze up if they're not concentrating 100% on the task that they're confronted with. They're thinking about how many people are in the stands, or how hot I am, or how tired I am, or that the guy, the defender on the play before punched me in the mouth, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to get back at that guy. Dan has the ability to block out what's happening in his surroundings and concentrate on the assignment that he has at that particular moment.
Even the most sophisticated of modern computers can suffer from what is known as overload. The human brain, however, thrives on activity. Dan Marino's ability to react must be constantly sharpened and refined.
I think what it really comes down to is repetition. For me, it all comes natural, and it's something that I just go out through repetition and knowing in my mind what I have to do with the football, I'm able to get the job done and do it quickly.
If I think about other professions that he would do well in, I think he would be a great hitter in baseball with the ability to react to the different type of pitches and adjust his swing and keep his eye on the ball and make contact all the time.
Hitting a baseball. To succeed is to fail 7 times out of 10. It requires total concentration, for the batter has less than a second to make contact with a small white object moving at 90 miles per hour. There are few Major League Baseball players more adept in the art of hitting than Mike Schmidt.
During the actual game, when you're at home plate, and when the pitcher's winding up and releasing the ball to you as a hitter, in my opinion, there's a period of thought. I call it your last conscious thought. In other words, I'm up there hitting, and as he's getting ready to pitch and he lets go of the ball, now the ball's on the way, I have had my last conscious thought. You're talking about a millisecond. I mean, you're talking about a decision time that I really have no thought process about. It just happens naturally. During an at-bat, I may get 7 or 8 pitches. Between those pitches, I may back out of the batter's box and try to control what I've been thinking, try to control my last conscious thought. That's not automatic for me. I may break down at the last second and think home run to left field right when he gets ready to let go of that ball, and then I may swing and miss or foul the ball off. I may back out of the box and say to myself, wrong thought. We can't hit thinking that. Against this guy, we can't hit with that thought. We got to get that line drive, swing. So my last conscious thought would be just drive down on it, drive down on it. And I'll be in there and getting ready to hit, and I'll go, drive down on it, drive down on it. All right, drive, you know. And then my mind goes blank, and more than likely, I will drive down on the ball. Over the years, I've been criticized a little bit for having to think so much like that as a hitter, but I've had to do it. I have had to do it. If I just went up, looked for the ball, and reacted to it, I'd hit 400 fly balls to left field short of that fence and hit about 230. Strike out 180 times a year, and I probably wouldn't be here now. And that sign wouldn't be in center field.
Mike Schmidt can explain his thought process, but it remains a process that is difficult to define. But one thing about the athletic mind in action is not mysterious. This finely tuned machine cannot be manufactured.
I think we were gifted at birth with the hand-eye coordination, the feel, the ability to grab a cue stick and run a table, to hop on a horse and ride it, to you know, to throw a baseball up and hit it.
You know, it's hard to say. Maybe, you know, it's something that you know, was a gift from God, that you have the ability to think a little quicker and make the throw a little quicker.
Every athlete, when he born, he have halfway. He got his ability. God gave this to him. Now it's up to him to develop and to make him better.
In professional sports, the movement that occurs within the mind might well be the fastest of all the many different elements of speed. In the future, speed will continue to be explored by those who seek to define its elusive qualities. Each generation brings forth new methods and machines in an attempt to understand and master speed. But in the end, it defies definition. The only way to truly know speed is to set off in search of its ultimate expression.
I think my lifelong obsession with speed is you're always trying to go faster and faster, and each time you raise the speed limit, you bring into play a whole new set of elements to deal with, and it's somewhat like treading into the unknown. Each time you raise the stakes, why, it sets up new problems and it becomes more difficult, and it's continually challenging to go faster and faster. The current goal is to return the land speed record to America from England, and we're shooting for supersonic velocity on the ground, which would be around 800 miles an hour. In a word, I guess it's hairy.
I really think the key to speed is just desire, but there's a point where you're just running and you have no feeling of tiredness, no feeling of being sore, no feeling of trying to push yourself. It just is running as hard as you can for a period of 1 mile. It's getting to a point where it's almost a sprint.
For Jim Spivey, Craig Breedlove, and all others who try to create and control it, speed will forever remain the greatest challenge in the world of sport.
If you're looking for the most powerful American sedan with 174 intercooled turbo horsepower, a sports suspension system, road-gripping front-wheel drive, and an unbeatable 770 protection plan, then look no further. It's gotta be the 1988 Dodge Lancer Shelby.
It's gotta be a Dodge.